We're live, a casual take with your boy Stephen Pepper, here to give a take off my chest. Today we're talking about the Boston Celtics beating the Indiana Pacers in Game 4 of the Eastern Conference Finals. The Celtics advance to the NBA Finals. They're on the way to banner number 18. Jaylen Brown wins Eastern Conference Finals MVP. And I know this opinion that I'm about to say is the opinion of many, but it's facts, and I have to talk about it. This Celtics playoff run doesn't mean anything unless they win the NBA title. Because let's be honest here, this was the easiest path maybe ever. Oh, but the Celtics went 12-2 in the playoffs. They dominated. Oh, really? You want to bring up their record? Okay, shall we analyze that playoff run? In the first round, they played a Heat team without Jimmy Butler and Terry Rozier. In the second round, they played a Cavs team without Jared Allen, and then eventually Donovan Mitchell and Karis LeVert. And in the conference finals, they played a Pacers team who lost their best player halfway through the series. So basically, every team that they played was without their best player and others for a majority of the series. Oh, but you're forgetting Kristaps is here. Oh, but you're forgetting Kristaps is hurt. Kristaps, give me a break. He's your third best player. You still had home court, all the experience in the world, multiple all-NBA and all-defensive players to bully your way through a weak East. And yet, and this is my main problem with this team, is that there were far too many instances where the opponent, the weakened opponent, had no business being in ball games. Miami getting a game off them at all in the series, especially in Boston, was unacceptable. The Cavs stealing one in Boston and then remaining competitive when Mitchell went down was unacceptable. And then the Pacers having a 90% win probability, according to ESPN, in 3 out of the 4 fourth quarters, even without Halliburton, was also unacceptable. I'm not saying that the Celtics team can't win the finals, but nothing about their run was impressive. And then you compare that to the Mavericks' run. And the Mavericks are most likely going to advance to the finals out the West. I mean, they could even lose tonight to the Timberwolves and still have 3 more cracks at it. But in the first round, they played a Clippers team. Although Kawhi was injured for part of that series, that injured Clippers team is better than any of the other injured teams the Celtics faced. And then the second round, they played OKC, who was the number 1 seed in the All-Western Conference, and then the MVP runner-up. I know they were young, but they were still a better team than any team the Celtics faced. And then the conference finals, they are on the verge of sweeping the Timberwolves team that we all fell in love with because they had the number 1 defense. Anthony Edwards has aura. And they just beat the unbeatable, it felt like, defending champion Nikola Jokic and the Denver Nuggets. Usually, when you have a more impressive playoff run, that is an indicator of how good your team is. Not always, but a good indicator of how good your team is. And if I were to pick today, Mavericks, Celtics, NBA Finals, who you got, I'm picking Dallas, especially if Kristaps is hurt. Now, that's where the Kristaps injury comes in huge. But primarily why I'm picking Dallas is because they're more tested. I know what I'm getting out of Dallas. Even though they're playing close games like the Celtics, they're playing far better competition. Yeah, the Celtics swept the Pacers. And a sweep is a sweep at the end of the day. And a sweep is impressive to sweep any team in the NBA. But if you just take one crack at the box score, you wonder yourself, how the hell were the Pacers even in all these games? I mean, the Pacers had the Celtics down bad in 3 out of the 4 games in the Eastern Conference Finals. In game 1, all they had to do was just inbound the ball properly, and they steal one in Boston. Game 3, they had an 18-point lead. How do you blow that? And they get another win. And then in game 4, they didn't score. They had the lead in the fourth quarter, and then they didn't score for the final 3:33. Now, I want to give as much as I want to give Boston credit for for pulling out all those tough wins, as much as I want to do that, I can't help but think they should not have been in those positions because Boston was favored by 9.5 points in both of the games at home, in 7.5 points on both the games on the road. That's even without Kristaps Porzingis. 9.5 point spread in the Eastern Conference Finals. I said the other day, that's like a Celtics versus Wizards spread in the middle of January on like a Wednesday. Like, that's huge for an Eastern Conference Finals against a team that has already won 2 playoff series. And that was before Halliburton got hurt. That's in Boston. And Boston only covered one time. And that was game 2, which I came on here and gave Boston props saying that's what Boston should look like. Dominant win against an inferior opponent. Because when you are the better team, and I'm trusting you to win an NBA championship, I need you to rattle off, string together a couple impressive wins after impressive wins. And they couldn't, even when the Pacers got more hurt. Now, Boston wins this chip. The good thing is for them is we're going to forget about all this Mickey Mouse stuff. If they beat, because they're going to go to the finals and beat a good quality Mavericks team, Luka, who I think is the second best player in the world, Kyrie, their defense, especially if they do that without Porzingis or if he misses time, that's a quality championship finals win. We're going to forget about all this, but they got to win because this run, especially for a franchise that has won 17 banners, you don't flex finals appearances anymore. Got all these people flexing finals appearances, playoff records. You got 17 banners. You went here 2 years ago. This core's been to like 6 conference finals. You don't flex banners. You know what you do? You flex titles. And when you have a playoff run like this, which was the easiest of my life, every single team you play in the East, they lost their best player for a majority of the series at least. You got to win the title against a healthy team. Or else, what is this run? Or else, were you truly an NBA Finals team? Or did you fall in? Or we're just given this lucky path? But I appreciate everyone for tuning in this episode of A Casual Takes. Some Casual Takes is my handle for all things related to the show. The Celtics, that playoff run just wasn't impressive to me. Tap in tomorrow or tonight when I talk about Game 4 of the Timberwolves Mavericks series. But until then, see you.